Hi, I'm Marta Rañón with Southern Caregiver Resource Center. Welcome to our class today. We are so excited about continuing our online classes, and today's topic is caregiving with kids during COVID. So feel free to take notes and jot down some of these suggestions, and the conversation that we're going to be having should be very important and something to think about, especially as we are starting the school year. And I know a lot of caregivers are balancing caring for young children as well as caring for older adults. So glad to be here today. We're going to get started. So during today's topic and class, I want to cover the following. And I am attempting to do this within an hour. So hopefully we'll get to talk about all of these things that will be helpful to you. The first is how to talk with your children about COVID. I know a lot of us have a lot of questions, and this is something that has been changing so much constantly. So we're going to talk about some things that will be helpful as you talk with your children. And we're going to talk about developing a flexible schedule and therefore some family plans that can help you during this time. We are going to assist you with identifying ways to incorporate some online learning. I know a lot of caregivers out there are really trying to balance online learning and working and caregiving. So hopefully this will be helpful. We also are going to talk about creating a positive environment in your home, as well as how to keep your children engaged during this time. So I know for a lot of us, transitioning can be very difficult. I know in my experience, I often am struggling with getting my kids ready for school, helping them during the school day, working, and of course, everything that comes with work. And then of course, you have your household responsibilities. Maybe some of you have pets. And now if we're gonna add caregiving, a lot of our caregivers are in that sandwich generation, and they're caregiving for someone who is elderly. Maybe they need assistance with activities of daily living, or perhaps they need help because the person that they're caring for has some sort of cognitive impairment like dementia or memory loss. So I understand completely how frustrated and flustered you must be feeling during this time, and that's why we're here to help. At the end, I'll give you some of our contact information so you can give us a call and you can reach out, because that's why we're here to help you, the family caregiver. All right, so COVID. You know, this is an unprecedented time for all of us. Never did we imagine that we would be going through this pandemic at this magnitude and so constantly and rapidly changing. So what I recommend for caregivers out there is to really prepare, follow the federal and state guidelines, and even your local jurisdiction has a lot of resources available. Make sure you read up on the latest changes and the latest suggestions and recommendations so that you're able to inform your family, be able to make better decisions, and of course, guide your children who at this time probably have a lot of questions. And it's important to be able to listen to them and help them answer some of their questions. And it's okay if you don't know. Not all of us have all the answers, and even the experts and the researchers and the doctors are constantly having to update their announcements because this is so constantly changing. So that's understandable. What we do recommend is that you stay supportive, stay flexible, and be able to discuss it in a way that creates a safe space. Sometimes many of us are really just stressed with what's going on and trying to figure things out. So give yourself room to be with yourself, be compassionate with yourself, and it's okay. It's okay to take a breather. It's okay to take some time for yourself as well. Okay, so here we have some possible questions that some children might have, and I know this is from a personal experience as well as from some of the caregivers who we've been hearing from during this time. So I decided to jot these down, and maybe it helps you as a sort of an outline for discussion. So the first one is, what is a virus? You know, many times especially during the winter months, and we talk about the flu and we talk about germs and cold. And so a lot of children might be familiar with germs and that topic, but maybe not a virus. And this is kind of unusual that we are living during this time. So I know they're hearing coronavirus, COVID, virus. So these are terms that they're hearing and that children are talking about amongst themselves. You know, I have 2 young children, and I was surprised how much they actually already knew from conversations that they were having with their friends at school. So here is, you know, a virus is a type of a germ. And of course, you know, it's very microscopic. It's very small. It can get inside the body. You know, we're hearing the word coronavirus. What is that? So here I have a little quick explanation where it talks about how if it gets inside of people's bodies, how it affects their system and how different people react differently and how it really is affecting people all over the world. And then the big question is, what if someone gets COVID? A lot of families, of course, are socially isolating, and a lot of families are feeling the impacts of their grandparents or maybe their other family members not being able to visit them. And that's raising a lot of additional questions. And so what we like to tell children is that, you know, sometimes this disease, this virus affects people in different ways. You could get a fever, and that's why sometimes we need to take our temperature to make sure that we are not running a high fever. Some people have a hard time breathing. You know, there's coughing involved, and we tell them to cough into their elbow. But it's really important for children to understand that not every cough and not every you know, sneeze means that they have coronavirus. I know it's a tight balance, because we don't want to scare our children, but we do want to be forthcoming with information at their level, so that it is appropriate for their age. And so what we can do as parents, as caregivers, as relatives, as friends, is really reassure them that this is what we can do together, collectively, to really stop this disease from spreading and from getting our loved ones infected by it. So of course, the first thing that we say is wash your hands, just like we say all the time, right? Before you eat dinner, wash your hands, but wash them for a long period of time. 20 to 30 seconds is the recommended time frame. And if you have a song that the children can sing during this time, then it encourages them to do so. And so maybe you can practice that as a family. Pick your favorite song, whether it's Happy Birthday or whatever it is, and practice washing your hands. Using hand sanitizer, if you don't have soap and water, is important as well. And I know there's been a shortage, and of course we've had to deal with that. But I think there are places that still have some hand sanitizers available that you can use. Also, keep at least 6 feet distance away from people. And I know that it's hard for us who are social beings and enjoy being with others, our friends, our family members. But this is how we're going to help them not get infected in case we are carrying the virus. Of course, staying at home, covering your cough like I talked about, and wearing a mask. That is so important that we all do our part, not only to protect ourselves, but to protect those out there who are so vulnerable. Who have a compromised immune system and who might be more susceptible to the negative effects of this virus. And so, of course, the idea is to have a plan. There is so much about this virus that we cannot control. Until there is a vaccine, until we figure everything else that goes along with this virus, we're going to have to do our part. And so it's important to have a plan, and that's how we can better control the situation. If you have a plan about hygiene and about taking temperature on a regular basis, and maybe some emergency phone numbers in case you need to go to the doctor, then you'll have more control within your family. So what we are recommending is that you develop a family plan. And in this family plan, it really encompasses everything. Sometimes with children and older adults that you are caring for, you need to have a routine. And that could be different time frames, right? Maybe you have a different routine for the children than for the elderly person that you're caring for, but still having a routine is going to be helpful. Setting up some meal times or sleep times or wake up times. If you as a caregiver need to perhaps set up a different wake up time for yourself so that you can take care of those things that you need to take care of, or even take care of you before everyone starts waking up, that would be important too. Get some time involved for activities such as shopping. Maybe there are some groceries that you need to get. You could also solicit the help from your neighbor, or maybe another friend or family member who could drop off groceries at your home if they are going to the store as well. And of course, maybe setting up some time to do family activities, some fun times together, maybe watching a movie, making some popcorn, making puzzles. I mean, there are so many possibilities. You know, my children earlier on, when we were socially isolating and we were just kind of wondering what was happening and trying to hunker down, my son actually said, you know, maybe the positive thing of this coronavirus is that we get to spend more time together. And I just thought that was so true. And I really appreciate him saying that, because it kind of just brought it back to perspective that, you know, this is an unprecedented time. We're all very anxious, but at least maybe we can do something positive in that spending some time. So I know a lot of you parents and a lot of you family members who have children at home who are still in school have already started the school year, and a lot of these schools are either distance learning or maybe there's a hybrid of going to in-person school or online, and that can be also very stressful for a caregiver. And so I know on a personal experience, there's been a lot of juggling and a lot of flexibility, and maybe things need to be completely different than what we're used to, but whatever works for you, feel free to try things. So for example, I have here establish a schedule. During the spring, we had a schedule, and I'll show you what I had in a little bit. And it kind of broke down the day of activities that we did. Now that we are starting school, there is a more structured schedule given by the school. And so school districts might have different schedules that give you minute to minute of what the children and the students should be focusing on. Set up some workspaces at home. If you have more than one child in the school system, you might have to set up different areas apart from each other so that they have their space. Maybe you set up a desk, maybe a folding table with boxes of their supplies so that you're able to access them and help them as well. Make sure that if it's possible to have a quiet space. Right now I know it's beautiful and a lot of us want to go outside, and maybe that works. But then once it starts raining or getting a little bit cold outside, that might not be the case. So try to think ahead of where the workspaces will be. And not only for your children, but also for yourself. I know for my personal experience, I also need to set up a workspace for me. And I need to be able to sit down and work at my computer and have everything accessible. So I actually treat it the same way, to make sure that we don't just have things scattered all over the house, but actual spaces that we all work on, and those are our designated spaces. And then, of course, maintain open communication with your teachers, administrators, the school. I know there is a lot in terms of communication online. And so a teacher might be able to reach out to you and ask you a question, and you should be able to respond right away. To give you an example, today actually, I was helping one of my children with school, and we were not able to log on. And so it was taking a while, and it wasn't anything that we were doing, it was the system. So I emailed the teacher right away, and I said, hey, just letting you know we're trying, so that at least she knew that we were there It's just that we were having a hard time connecting. So again, they're very open to this communication because it also helps them. So just keep that in mind. Here's an example of a schedule, and this is something that I used during the spring semester that we just completed. And so there wasn't a lot of structure. I think a lot of us experienced that in terms of academics, but we set up a structure so that the children knew what they should be doing during that time. So we incorporated some exercise, walking the dog, some creative time, some playtime, and then of course lunchtime. So you can modify it however you want. You can color code it however you want, whatever fits your family. I also have, and maybe we can get a close-up of this, a calendar that my daughter did. And here she kind of wrote things that were important to her and that were part of what she needs to see. And of course, this is a whiteboard, so she can write in any notes that she has in terms of homework or anything like that. So of course, you can buy something like that, or you can just get a whiteboard, or even just a piece of paper that you can clip onto the refrigerator. That would work as well. So we know that attention spans are very limited right now, right? Nobody wants to be in front of the computer all day. And I know that for those of you who are working at home, it feels that way. It feels that if I don't leave the computer, then I'm stuck there all day, and you don't even eat, and you're right next to the refrigerator, but you just don't have time because you're so focused. What I need you to understand is that everyone learns differently, and everyone has a different threshold for sitting in front of the computer. So for example, younger children might be able to learn better and stay more focused during the morning, at the beginning of the day. And so that's probably when they should do their homework and maybe get engaged with their teachers. And they also probably need more breaks, which I know the teachers do a good job in incorporating those. With high school children, they probably learn better later in the day. And so of course, that's a conversation that you can have with the teacher. But in terms of homework, then maybe that's when you want them to focus on doing their schoolwork, if they have any homework or any additional tasks that the instructors have given them. And of course, their breaks might require different activities than younger children. So those of you caregivers who have children that are a wide range, younger and older, again, keep that in mind in terms of the different abilities to focus on their tasks. Now, of course, we always talk about self-care, and we always talk about making positive choices. And I know, again, it's easier said than done, especially during this time. But it starts with us. It starts with all of us to really do our part to kind of make everybody feel a little bit more comfortable during this time that's so anxious and high in anxiety. So instead of saying, don't bother me, you know, how about I'll be with you as soon as I'm done with this call? What I am practicing doing is, as soon as I'm done with a call or a meeting, I actually step away, check in on my children, make sure that they're okay and that we're connected, and that they have that ability to then ask me a question or see if they need anything. And then, of course, then I go back to my work. Don't make a mess. You know, maybe it's something where you incorporate all of them and they say, hey, let's help each other make the space neater. And you'll see how wonderful it is that sometimes they're so willing to help and say, yes, this is all collective work for all of us to have a nice, clean space. Of course, I talked about self-care, so it's important to step away from schoolwork, from work, even from house responsibilities like cleaning and doing laundry. Just take a time, even if it's an hour, maybe you can schedule it and say, this is a break for all of us. And everybody can do something individually, or you can schedule time to do it together. But the whole idea is that you step away from those tasks. So now it's important that during this time that we give and receive emotional support. Again, it's just the structure of how this is so unprecedented for us, and socially isolating is so unnatural for us as human beings. So of course, there's a lot of emotional support that we need to give and receive. So I have here the first statement is, it's okay to feel, and of course you can fill in the blank. It's okay to feel anxious. It's okay to feel worried. It's okay to feel angry, whatever it is, and just be there to listen and guide. You are helping everyone but by staying home. And it's important for children and for others to know that this is why we're all doing it. I know many of us are getting cabin fever and just want to travel and go places, but if you have that full understanding of why it's important that we stay home to curb this virus, to prevent other people from getting sick, and also from preventing our healthcare system from just being exhausted, is important. Wash your hands to stay healthy. That's why we do this. And of course, you can stay connected virtually, maybe set up some online playtimes. Maybe you can create a space for caring and sharing and listening to each other. So I know that with children, sometimes parents might be getting this statement, which I am hearing from a lot of us, and myself included, that kind of drive us crazy. I am bored. What else am I supposed to do? I don't know what to do, right? And what I have told my children is that, you know what is important? Make a list of all the activities that you want to do. Playing outside, hula hoop, drawing, painting, reading. And from those activities, then you pick one. So that when you have yourself, when you find yourself in that space where you're wondering, what should I do now? Maybe those are some of the things that you can pick one of those from the list. If you need some ideas, I have a list here, and I have science experiments. There are so many great science experiments online that are so simple to do. And you can do them with ingredients that you find at home or objects that you have in your own home. There's painting. I know a lot of kids right now are painting rocks, so you can do that. You can also do chalk painting on the sidewalk and leave nice messages for everyone. There's a DIY Play-Doh recipe that you can find online, and this is actually really good, not only for small children, but also for those who are caring for someone with some sort of cognitive impairment. So I want you to keep that in mind, that some of these activities you can do with both. People who are having to care for someone with dementia or memory loss might have a hard time figuring out what to do with them. And here are some activities that you can do with them, and incorporate your children as well. We also have scavenger hunts. I know a lot of classes right now online are asking children to do that and incorporate things about themselves and show them maybe some objects that they have at home that represents them. And then of course slime, which we will do in a little bit, and I'm going to give you a couple of recipes that you can do with your family, and it should be a lot of fun. So with staying active, obviously we always encourage children to go outside and get some exercise and move around and get the wiggles out. And that's also important for the person that you're caring for, the elderly, even if they have mobility issues. I know that, for example, when I was a caregiver, it was important for me to go on walks with my great aunt. And I also incorporated gardening by just, wheeling her outside and sitting under a tree and doing gardening together. That was a physical activity, and that was something that was very nice for both of us to bond, but also because it was just so nice to be able to get our hands in the dirt, see the plant grow, water it, and it kind of became a task for her. So you can incorporate that with children as well. They can all do this together. Right now we have great weather, and you can plant tomatoes and then go out there and water the plant and grow the tomatoes and then do something with them. That's also a good idea. Maybe creating some challenges. So when you have those breaks, okay, let's see who can make the most hula hoops or jumping jacks, and maybe you can time them and count them. We also have movement games, and I have this really great object that I want to share with you. And I actually bought it for that reason, so that when I said, okay, kids, it's time for a break, go outside and be out in the sun and do some activities. These are really neat. And so you roll them on the floor. It can be inside in your living room, or it can be outside. And what it is one of them actually gives you the number, and the other one gives you the activity. So when you roll them, and what I'll do is I'll do that here on the table. When you roll them, you get here, you're going to do 10 skips. And so then that person does 10 skips. And then you roll it again, and maybe you get a different number, and you do, here you go, 2 jumping jacks. And this is a fun activity that anyone can do outside or even inside if you are interested. Okay, so now I really want to shift gears and let you know, caregivers, that we know that this is not easy. We know that this is unprecedented, especially during this time. But we also want to remind you that you don't have to do caregiving alone, that we are here to help. And a lot of our services are now online. They are now available to you virtually. And so here is a list of all of them, because I want to make sure that you can reach out to us if you are having a hard time during this period, especially, for example, with counseling. We have a great counseling program, and you can talk to our staff, our trained staff, about some of these issues that you are having with caregiving, and find a better way to create a plan for you that works for you in your caregiving situation. We also have our iCare portal program, and it's really an opportunity for you to access additional educational resources, and that's in the form of caregiver tip videos. If you only have a minute to watch a video, then you can check out one of them. We have a long list of our caregiver tip videos, podcasts on different topics that we can share with you. We also have classes such as this one that you can watch, and of course our newsletter, which has great articles as well as links to videos. So at this time, I would like to remind you that we have a lot of information that we're constantly sharing with our audiences on social media. And so if you are not connected already, make sure that you connect with us. Send us your email, send us your contact information, because that's how we're connecting with people right now. We want to let you know what's going on. We want to give you resources. We want you to make sure you stay connected so that you don't have to do caregiving alone. So you can follow us on all of these different social mediums. And of course, I am sharing our contact info. Of course, I'm here at the office right now with no one except us, but this is our information, our phone number, our website, so that you can send us an email, give us a call. We have staff who are answering the phones. All right, so at this time, what I want to do is I want to change a little bit, but I want you to remind you that if you are interested in watching other live stream classes, other classes that we have recorded, you can rewatch them, you can share them with others. And now we're going to do this great activity that should be very fun for not only your children, but for you yourself as the caregiver, as well as the person that you are caring for. And we are going to make slime. I am so excited. We actually have, follow me, we're gonna ask our helpers today. These are actually my children. And this is Andres and Sofia. And we are going to do slime, and we're so excited because this is an activity that is not that difficult. It's very simple, and I'll show you 2 different ways of doing that. And again, the hope is that you do something fun together, that you do something creative, but that you also are able to involve the younger children as well as your older care receivers who you might be caring for. All right, so first up, we have a simple recipe. It actually only takes 2 ingredients. And the first part is picking a glue. So Sophia is picking this glue, but I want to talk to you a little bit more about this, these ingredients here. So as you can see, these are items that you can find at your local craft store. This one has sprinkles and it's blue. This one is purple and has sprinkles, but it also glows in the dark. This one that Sophia just picked actually changes color from blue to purple. And the reason why I'm highlighting this is because it's very sensory. For caregivers who are caring for someone with dementia or memory loss, it would be really nice to be able to incorporate all of their senses. So this one, of course, it's visual. You have the sprinkles and the changing of colors. And so she's gonna pick this one and pour all of the contents into this bowl. Now, of course, while she does that, if you have white glue, that's fine too. That's not a problem. But this is just kind of adds a different dimension. Now, the reason why I like this recipe, it's so simple because you just need glue. In this, it's called magical liquid, and it's kind of an activator which helps you with making slime. And all you need is 1 teaspoon of that added to the glue. So go ahead and do that. 1 teaspoon. Now, of course, this is, not science. It's very simple to do. And as she mixes it, I can do that for you if you want while you mix it. You just get it to a consistency where it is slimy. And she'll just keep mixing, and then later on she'll start kneading. If you need more, you add a little bit more. If you want to add the rest of the glue, you can certainly do that. Now, what I wanted to share with you about this is that this activator actually has a scent. This is cherry lime scent. So again, it allows you the opportunity to use your senses. And this would be really great for, again, your family. Now I'm going to take it a higher step here. We're going to make it even more interesting. Want to make it more interesting? Is we're going to add these little balls, and they're actually for slime. I found them at a local crafting store. And so what it is, it's the opportunity to make it even more textured. And I'll add a little more. Yeah, a little more. Yeah, okay. There we go. And so she'll mix that. And so once you have that, you'll have something that feels different, that smells nice, that it's visually interesting. You could even hold it to your ear and hear it. So again, it's really a great opportunity to incorporate a lot of your senses. And then don't forget, once you're done, you can put it in a little container and store it in a place that is cool and away from direct light, so you can have your slime available when you want to. So I'll leave Sophia to kind of mix that, and she'll start kneading it. And if she needs to add more of the activator or more of the glue, she can do that until she gets it ready for the consistency that she likes. Sounds good? Okay, so now we're going to solicit the help of Andres. And this recipe is actually online. So you will have here, if you look at the slide, it has the ingredients, the measurements, some optional items, which I'll talk about. And then, of course, the slide that follows that, you have the instructions on how to put it all together. But we're going to demonstrate for you some of the ingredients that you should already have at home. And if you don't, you can find them anywhere pretty much. So I have here measuring spoons. We have our glue, and I'm going to use white glue just in case you don't have the fancy ones that we were sharing earlier, but so that we can add some food coloring to them. So while he is pouring the contents on the bowl, I'll talk about the next ingredients. So we have baking soda, and baking soda is great to give it that firm consistency. And so we have here, and of course you have the recipe right there and the measurement. And then of course we have some contact lens solution. And it can be any kind that you want. If you don't have some, you can even find it at your local supermarket. And it's nothing fancy, just contact lens solution. So I'll have him mix these two. And then I'll go into the next item. And so this is optional here. This is, yeah, these two right here. We're gonna add these two. Mix these two. So we have food coloring. See. And of course you can pick any color you want. And we have picked I believe it's a neon green. So we'll see how that goes. And so he's mixing that, so the contact lens solution with the baking soda. And once that is mixed, and I'll move these out of the way so that you can see maybe a little bit better, he will pour that mixture into here. Yeah. There we go. Great. And then while I mix, he'll add a couple of drops of food coloring. And as you can see, it's already starting to get that consistency. Ooh, that's a pretty green color. Okay, it's going to be nice and neon. Now, if you don't have this, it doesn't have to be this milky white glue. You could also have the clear glue. And if you have the clear glue, that would be really nice because it will create some sort of it will look like a crystal in color. So he'll mix that and then he'll start kneading it. And of course, our containers to put the slime in afterwards in a cool space away from the sunlight. So I'll let him mix that. And Sophia, I think are you all set? You want to show our friends what it looks like? Here we go. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I hope this was fun, and I hope that you were able to get some good insight on how to help your children and how to caregive during this time, and then of course end up with a nice family activity that you can do. Thank you, and see you next time.